If I'm being honest, I am a bit of a Grinch this time of year. I find the holidays to be extremely stressful, but if there's anything that can get me in the holiday spirit, it is a good craft. So I've been racking my brain over what to make that is Christmassy, but still my style, and there's such an obvious answer, and it's, of course, Krampus. I've got a couple different crafts that I want to try, but for our main man, I want to make something out of foam board to hang over the door of my office. A lot of people made these decorations for Halloween, so I'm kind of just jumping on that bandwagon. I started a bit without you yesterday and got the rough plan kind of drawn out. I'm really excited about this. I love a creepy little creature, I love a craft, and since December 5th is Krampus night, it's kind of perfect timing. All right, it's time to craft.
Once I discovered that the foam board was conveniently the perfect size, I busted out my handy-dandy projector to trace my design. I decided to make each layer an individual piece to give the Krampus a little bit of a 3D look, and because I refuse to ever make things easy for myself for some reason.
I finally cut out all the pieces, so now it's time to choose our color scheme. For my initial drawing, I did a lot of warm browns, but I'm not sure if I want to stick with that or switch to black and gray. So I'm gonna do some experimenting and then I can get the base coats done before I go in with any of the details.
As soon as I saw the wide variety of browns that I had, I completely scrapped my black and gray idea and stuck with my original concept. Now let's get to painting. With the base coats complete, it was time to add the black outlines. I decided to do this on each piece to give it more of a cartoony look, and I think it really pays off in the end.
Painting all of these little lines is the exact experience that I have every time I put on eyeliner. I always try to do a nice, dainty little line, something subtle, and then all of a sudden, my entire eyelid is covered.
After finishing all the outlines, I was finally ready to add the details. This was definitely the most satisfying part of the whole project, and I hope you'll be very proud to hear that I went out and bought myself a little brush to prevent me from losing my mind doing all these tiny lines.
All the pieces are basically done aside from the face. I kind of want to make the horns, eyebrows, and tongue kind of more 3D. I think it looks really good so far, but I always feel like I can do a little more. So while I contemplate this, I am going to finish the outline on the face and add in the color for the teeth and eyes, and then we will reassess.
For the record, if I ever say that I'm debating on doing something, that usually means that I'm gonna do it. So for the horns, eyebrows, and tongue, I used a piece of parchment paper to trace out the patterns and transferred them to the foam and cut out all the pieces before painting them. As a bit of extra credit for the tongue, I tried to cut it at an angle to give the illusion that it was coming out from behind the teeth. Once all the pieces were complete, it was finally time for assembly, which means you get a behind-the-scenes look at the amount of glue that I put on this bad boy. So Krampus is officially done, and he is just the most perfect boy in the whole world. But before I hang him up, there are a couple other crafts that I want to try. I want to do paper garlands, but as chainmail. I did a couple practice chains yesterday just to get the sizing right, and they actually came out better than I expected. So I'm excited to try it with the construction paper that I got. But before I start any of the paper crafts, I really want to go out and see if I can find one of those paper guillotines. I feel like I'm already making this craft way more complicated than it needs to be, so I'm gonna see if there's any way that I can cut corners just a little bit. I'll be right back. I cut each piece of paper into strips measuring 5.5 inches long and 1/2 inch wide. This was the perfect size to do the European 4-in-1 weave, and then I just used tape to secure the rings in place.
I think the reason why I chose chainmail as my main artistic outlet is because I love repetitive tasks like this. Even though people online are saying that paper chains are a recession indicator, which I'm not going to argue with you about that, but it has been really cool to see so many people dedicating some time to DIY projects or handmade gifts or crafts. Something like this is such like a fun, low stakes way to get yourself to be creative for a little bit. Two things can be true. That's all I'm saying.
I made a bunch of these stars, so let me give you a quick rundown. Start with a square piece of paper and fold it down the middle at the corners. Then with the fold in the middle, fold the two side corners to the center fold. Once you have a kite shape, flip it 180 degrees and fold the bottom up. Then fold the two bottom corners to the center fold. Repeat these steps for each point that you want. I made 8 per star, but you can do as many as you want. Next, unfold the bottom points and apply glue to the center square and press the bottom points until the glue holds. Then pull the part you just glued away from the point, fold it in, and set it aside. Then repeat this with all the other points. After all the points are fully prepped and the glue has dried, you can attach them by gluing together the bottom angles of each point. If you'd like to store them flat, you can use a Velcro closure as the last point, but since I'm planning on keeping these up year-round, I glued them all. And when you unfold it, you're left with a fancy little star. And now it's time for the reveal.
Is he scary or cute? I can't tell.
I got this up just in time. It is December 5th today, but I'm feeling really good with how everything came out. I had these thrifted curtains that I just hung up with thumbtacks, and then I just faked pleats by folding them a few times, and I think the illusion plays. And then I just hid the thumbtacks with this leftover Spirit Halloween fabric that I had. Since I didn't have any of the fake pine garlands, this was kind of my way of cheating it a bit. Also, my door has its own decoration, so when I open it up, there's a little treat. I think it all turned out really cute. I'm feeling very festive. You're all very lucky that I don't have a house, because this would have been a full-on renovation to make Krampus a permanent fixture. I do think it would be cool to revisit this in the future to make a more permanent version, like maybe a wooden Krampus and fabric garlands, but I think for now he is the perfect addition, and he'll probably be up year-round, honestly. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all have a holly jolly Krampus night. Say happy Krampus night to the people. No? Okay. Rude.